Hi everyone, this is Jill from the North Woods. I think we are on week 74. I didn't make a little graphic because it's pretty much the same as it was last week. We are having a good week. I got rid of all my winter jackets. It was kind of sad because I am now having trouble with my cold. I mean, not my cold. I don't have a cold. I am cold all the time, and I never had to wear a jacket before. And I had this sort of lightweight rain jacket that I sort of wore all winter long if I had to wear a jacket. And now I'm cold all the time, and all my jackets are way too big. So this girl is going jacket shopping this weekend. But I did lose 1.2 pounds. I'm going to get the comments up here in case you have comments. I hope you are all doing well doing well too. Let's see, there we go. So now I can see if you have any comments. So 1.2 pounds, so that means I am at my lowest weight. It kind of counteracted the weight I gained last week. I am this close to being out of the 160s and then going into the 150s. And if you recall, I had my last big weight that I was at. So most of high school, I was 186, and that lasted all the way until through college. Let's just say it that way. So for 8 years, I was at 186. And in high school or grade school, somewhere around sixth grade all the way to going to high school, I was 149. And hi there. Glad you could join. One of the interesting things is, as I kind of noticed a pattern in all of this, is that was when I really had a big weight gain, was at 149. And that was when I moved from my beloved North Woods to the town where I went to high school, put on a bunch of weight, like almost 40 pounds instantly. And then I stayed at that weight, all the way through college. And then my bud M, she got married. I was confused about what to do in life. And boom, I put in another 40 pounds. And so those were kind of the big pieces. But it's nice because I'm almost at the weight that I was in sixth grade. And that was, I'm imagining a plateau, that a plateau is coming. I just have this feeling that your body remembers when you've been at a weight for a long time. And I got really stuck in the 180s. And I think that that's probably why I imagine I'm going to get stuck right at that 149-ish area again. I think that we'll find out. Again, there's also a rumor out there that GLP-1s stop working at week 70. There's a lot of belief of other people who have channels out there. I don't think that's true, but I mean, then again, this is my first time in the 70s. I am still losing weight. It's not as fast as it was, but I'm hoping, we can make good progress over the winter. But I have a feeling, I mean, right now I'm about 25 pounds out. Let's just say about, I don't know. I'll know it when I get there. But I'm thinking that somewhere in, around 130, I'll stop, and I'll stop trying to lose weight. I'm not that terribly far from it. And that makes me believe that, like most people, most of your friends and most people and everyone I know, that when they sort of got in that 30, 20 pound range from being at their goal weight gets really sticky at that point. Your body, like I said, is doing a lot of math and trying to figure out Jill has to stay at this temperature. She has to have a metabolic rate that energizes her. It's doing all kinds of math. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to do an episode about plateaus because I talked to a person who's a researcher in this and talk to him about why, because I was stuck at a really bad plateau at that point, and about why he feels they happen. And I think also what happens is once you get pretty close to what your goal weight is, your body just gets very resistant. It is worried about keeping you alive. And so just as you get closer and closer to a weight that is lower and lower, your body is going to fight harder to try to keep weight on you. Like I said, this system of humankind and putting on weight worked for us for all of mankind's time, except for like the last 50 years. So it is now trying just to keep you alive. So we'll talk a little bit about it, but I'm hoping to have a really good winter. And then when I get back into bird watching season again in March, we'll see where we're at. But I'm pretty darn close and I'm feeling pretty darn good. The only concern I have when it comes to my weight is, first of all, I do have more weight. And I mentioned I don't want to put more pressure on my ankles But the other part of it is that I still have a bit of a gut. And again, the gut fat is the dangerous fat. And so if you can spend some time to lose the gut fat, I think it's worth investing in that time. And since I just got this brand new dose, we'll see. I also have a follow-up with my doctor to talk to him the week after Thanksgiving, which is great. Who doesn't love going to see the doctor the week after Thanksgiving? But I don't know why he wanted to make an appointment so soon, because last time it was a year away and now he wants to talk to me in the end of November. I wonder if he's just worried that I'm going to lose too much weight. I don't know, but that's the idea. So good week. Again, I need jackets, got rid of a lot of clothes, and I'm sort of, I think, down to the place where I probably have the clothes that I'm going to have. I think that I'm resting right at that medium level. I just bought medium sweatpants. They're great. They fit perfectly. I have medium hiking pants. Great. Fit just fine. So I'm starting to feel like I'm rounding in a particular area. Could I get to be a size 6 if I wanted to, or a size 4? I mean, I don't think so, but it's not my goal. That was never really a part of my goal. So I feel like I am, like I said, seeing the goal at the end of the tunnel here. And hopefully you are too, whether you're taking GLP-1s or just watching your weight, hopefully that you're doing well too. I wanted to talk about a topic today, and you might not have noticed the rest of this channel. The whole idea of the Start with Small Steps podcast was really about productivity, ideas, hints to help you do things and get your goals better, one small step at a time. That was really kind of the goal of my channel. And it's been kind of an interesting thing for me because my Monjero channel is doing okay. I get, people, and I get comments and I get engagement, and I love all of you who talk and say hi and everything like that. I also have been doing a presentation to various tech groups about the Apple ecosystem and how it can help you to lose weight. And I thought, I never imagined in a million years that I was going to be someone who talks to people about health and fitness things, because it's not really, I'm doing it. I guess that's the point. I'm not an expert at it. I've been dieting my whole life, so I guess in some ways I am an expert at it. I read a lot of journals. I talk to a lot of researchers in that field, but it's been a struggle for me. And so maybe that, me coming through this struggle can help you come through your struggles as well. That's really my goal in all of this at the end. But it's funny, I thought, how much am I talking about health and fitness when that was really not something I ever imagined talking about? So hopefully, all of us, we're going to have a whole future together of us being grandkids. I don't have kids or grandkids, but you might. And, just like we talked about the actor who was saying, I just want to be there and see my kids' graduation. People who want to just walk their daughters down the aisle, that kind of thing. Or just go for a hike when they've retired. That's kind of the bucket I'm in. But I do have another podcast, and then it's Start with Small Steps, and it's also on this same channel that you're finding this here. And we talk about tips and hints to help you get the goals that you're looking for. Because I grew up not having any clue how to get any goal, how to get anything done, how to do anything. And through reading books, the library became a lifeline for me to figure out, how can I get things done? How can I go to college? How can I buy a house? How can I be successful on the job? And that all came through books. And there was this idea that was out there a couple of years ago, and it really stuck with me. And so I wanted to share it with you because it has a huge impact on maybe how we plan our healthy life together. And it's a different way of thinking about things. And it helped me become successful in other areas of my life. And I thought about it, and there's no reason why it couldn't also be fantastic for losing weight, staying healthy. But, we've all been there. We've probably, all of us who have done GLP-1s have dieted for so long and got so frustrated. That's why we're here. And that's why we're watching this now. You make a plan, right? You set up a plan and you say, I want to lose 30 pounds. And so then you go to the gym every day, maybe start on January 1st. You're going to lose the weight, and every day you step on the scale. And then, maybe you start off and you lose a good amount of weight. And then 3 weeks later, the whole thing just quietly unravels. It's not happening because of your lack of motivation. We're all really motivated to lose weight. If you're anything like me, it has been, your goal your whole life. I mean, it's so funny because once I got this job that I really liked, I sat there and I thought, well, what's my next goal in life? And I'm like, Jill, of course, it's the goal you've always had your whole life. Lose weight, get healthy. And so that's the idea. But motivation burns hot and then it burns out. You eventually get really excited to do something. You're very energized to do something. And then the next day, if you're anything like me, you forgot you were even on a diet. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to eat that other thing for dinner. And so this is the idea of why systems beat goals every time. System beats diet plans every time. Whether you're trying to lose weight or build muscle or just build a healthy new habit, it isn't about willpower. Willpower will only get you so far. It's I think something built into us that we have willpower to go chase that deer because we got to go feed our family. It wasn't meant, I think, as a thing that's supposed to last us years and years and years. I'm going to cough for a second. Okay. And, it was never meant to be this thing that was going to go over, decades to do. So instead of creating this goal, goals are just destinations. They don't tell you how to get there. They burn out. And when you stop getting your goals, you don't even feel like doing the plan anymore. Meanwhile, systems will create a lifestyle that will get you to your goals. It will keep you moving step by step to whatever goal it is you have to do. It is a way for you to not think of this end. I want to get into my swimsuit in summertime. I don't have a swimsuit. I want to get into my wedding dress for my wedding. I don't have a wedding. But you know what I mean? You always come up with these goals, and there's two problems, like I said. Either you get frustrated or the goal happens. You get in the swimsuit, you get married, or whatever it is that was your goal. I want to lose weight for my vacation trip to, the Mediterranean, whatever it is. And then you lose oomph because you did it. So an example of this is, like I said, a goal is I want to lose 20 pounds. If you say instead, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week and I'm going to stay there for 20 minutes. If you set up a system for that, it can get chaotic, first of all, if it fails, but that's the kind of idea. So let's just talk a little bit about how systems work and how do you set them up instead of setting up goals. So in an example, you'll decide that, maybe you decide that I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week, and then your boss schedules a meeting, or your kid gets sick, or suddenly, you got the sniffles, and now you've broken your streak. Your goal failed because your goal was to go to the gym 4 times a week. And, oh no, it didn't even happen because you didn't really create a system that would lend itself towards success. So it wasn't that your goal failed. I think that your lack of system, or my lack of system, I never had a system, failed as well. James Clear, and I'm going to talk about 2 people who really came up with our sort of modern concept of systems versus goal. James Clear in Atomic Habits, he's the one who sort of picked up from Scott Adams, who wrote the Dilbert cartoon, Systems Not Goals, and James Clear in Atomic Habits ran with it. He says you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. If you have a bad system in place, that's where you're going to go. You never quite just reach up and, do that. And I think if you can kind of think about that all the time, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. It's only as good as your system is how you're going to do. And this is why it's going to be revolutionary for dieting. And so please bear with me because you'll see how it goes. So systems are repeatable actions that will make your goal inevitable. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on the design of your goal. So I do this a lot in project management. I do this for my work a lot of times. So think about like a system for eating healthy. That means that you're going to plan dinner on the weekend. You're going to plan all the dinners out, and you're going to know what you're going to eat each day. You're always going to have protein. You grocery shop maybe every Sunday afternoon. and you get everything that you need so that your system is in place, that you can always get the protein you want, you can always get the fiber that you want, that you eat the meals that you planned ahead of time. And that way, you know that you're in a pretty good spot because you always have the food available that you're going to need. It's always right there, ready for you to cook. And so there's no excuses to say, I don't really have rutabagas right now. I guess I better go eat a steak at Outback Steak and then have a calorie bomb. The system will keep you on the right track all the time. Or a system for movement could be right after dinner, every day, I go for a walk. No decision. Now, I think it's a good way of going with it. I live in a place that has weather. And so if you're having rain, do you have an exercise, maybe that you could do indoors that would be maybe a video, exercise video that's like on YouTube? There's a million of them out there. I have a rower, a Concept 2 rower. I highly recommend the Concept 2 rowers. They're like $1,000 and they will last. They are so well built, they'll last your whole lifetime. But as an alternative, so if you can't go for a walk right after dinner, you could go and do a rowing session right after dinner. You keep your shoes by the door. You always have your exercise clothes washed and ready to go. You set a reminder on your watch. That's where my Apple conversation talks about, is that you create a system that is designed to always remind you, to nudge you a little bit, remind you of what you want to do, set up a program so that you don't have what they call decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is that idea that, you think about it, you go to the grocery store and there's 500 types of jams, jellies, and you just look at it and you're like, I don't know which jam or jelly I want. We get decision fatigue because there's too many choices. Same thing, like, we sit down to watch a night of television. Are we going to do Netflix? Are we going to do HBO? Are we going to do Discovery? Are we going to do Paramount? Are we going to watch something on YouTube? So many decisions. Your system removes decision fatigue because you're going to know, whether it's eating or whether it's your exercising, what the plan is. The plan is that on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do resistance training every week, no matter what. And I have a plan for that. And I have a plan for cardio that I do on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Saturday, I usually go hiking. And then Sunday, I do some kind of a stretch because I'm getting old and creaky, and so I'm trying to keep everything going. But if you are someone like me, I used to go to the gym, and I'd walk around the gym and go, I don't know what I want to do. I guess I could go on the elliptical. Oh, there's a dude at the elliptical. Well, I guess I can go over here and maybe I'll do some sit-ups and some push-ups, and then you're just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. If you plan ahead of time, that you know what your workout plan is going to be, a little bit of planning, and then they do something that's called a when-then statement. So you know exactly when that's going to happen. Now for me, I work for a California hospital. So my when-then is when I get up, I'm going to go exercise first thing because everybody in California is asleep. And so it's a good time. I get a lot of quiet. My friends are all busy. Good time for me, right? And I don't even have to get up that early because California is 2 hours away. Good time for me. Might not be the right time for you. So I know that with parents, a lot of times, or people who are married, they have to find times that work with their spouse. I haven't seen my husband all day. The last thing I want to do is exercise. I want to have a nice meal with him and, have us play a card game and then watch some TV or watch a movie. Maybe not the best time for you, but you're going to have to find the time that works for you. So now you're going to schedule it. You're going to do when-then statements. Another good time for me, I like to go biking, was when I worked at my old office because it was right on a bike trail. So all I had to do was change my clothes into my bike clothes, get my bike off my car, and off I go, and I got my biking in. It's a little bit harder now that I'm working from home because now the bike trail is way over yonder. But the idea is that you're going to create patterns that work for you. And the body starts to learn. The idea is that when I have lunch, I go for a walk. Or when I get up in the morning, I'm going to do a quick exercise. Or after I brush my teeth, I'm going to do some stretching before bed so that I'm not old and creaky, right? But you get these patterns, and as soon as you get into a pattern, it gets easier for you to do. So you think about when I prepare my meal, I do my dishes. Now I'm in that system. I got into that habit during the pandemic. But that's what you want to do, is you want to tie things together. Things that you're successful at already, and tie them to brand new habits you want to keep. So that's how you're going to get into this. And so the idea is, like I said, for nutrition, repeatable meals and meals that work for the particular time. For me, I'm working right at lunchtime, so I have a very quick meal. But for dinner time, I have a little bit meal that takes a little bit longer to cook. And I have one of those Ninja foodie things that look like rocket ships, and they're basically air fryer, air roaster things. And it has multiple levels. And I can put, what you do is you put the chicken on the top level, you put the vegetables on the middle level, and then you put like the potatoes and rice or whatever it is you're eating on the bottom level, and then the whole thing just cooks. And so I can have that all set up ahead of time. It cooks for 55 minutes. So 55 minutes before I'm done working, I just push the button and I put everything inside of it. I push the button to go, and then it cooks. And by the time I'm done with work, it's ready. But you got to work on a meal pattern that works for you, that gets your proteins in, produces a healthy meal for you, gets a little bit of vegetables in, and you don't have to decide from scratch. For me, what I do is I have a pretty reliable rotation of food. I eat 5 days a week. I pretty much know what I'm going to eat 5 days a week because I know exactly my pattern. Usually, Saturday is a wild card for me, which means I could go out with my friend. I could decide I want to try a brand new recipe. I'm not working, so I have a little bit more time. So that's my wild card day. And then Sunday, I usually try to cook something that will give me some leftovers for the rest of the week. Maybe I make a pork roast, or maybe I roast a whole chicken or something like that. But that gives me this reliable plan. Every week, I do try to introduce one brand new recipe into my cooking. I am not much of a cook. And I mean, it's not like I can't. I'm a pretty good cook, but I just never invested time in it. So now I'm spending one meal a week to look at a new recipe. Last year, I tried a recipe that sounded kind of disgusting, actually. But what it was a kind of white bean with oatmeal, of all things. And you put them in one of these air fryer pressure cooker things. So you cook the beans first because they take the most amount of time. Then you introduce the oats into it, and you get an oatmeal. It tastes like oatmeal, but it has about 3 times the amount of fiber in it. And beans, super good for you. They have a lot of really good nutrients in it. I found the recipe watching a YouTube video. And so, like I said, every week I try something brand new. And then I decide whether I want to bring it into my rotation. And that way you don't get overwhelmed with trying to find new recipes or, cook from scratch every day. I have a lot of quick and easy, ready-to-eat food for me. I have those mission tortillas I've been talking about since the beginning of time. I have spinach or some kind of a vegetable that I usually eat raw. I mix that up with some chicken. I have the avocado smash from Costco, which is just basically avocado and salt and pepper that are in little cups so the avocado doesn't die on you 20 minutes after you buy it. And I make a little tortilla out of it. And that's usually a lot of times what I have for dinner. I have these default meals. Some nights are eggs. So I make eggs, and I make toast with the keto bread. And, the idea is that you're going to have a system for it. Or when it comes to your movement system, like I said, maybe you decide the first 20 minutes I'm awake, I'm going to go exercise. It usually helps, I think, that if you can do it really early on. If you're like me, I get tired towards the end of the day. I'm done working, and so it doesn't really work out that well for me in order to do exercise late, like I said. So I try to do that. And then the idea is that you're going to review it. You're going to look at your feedback weekly. I'm someone who weighs myself every day. Some people, that just makes them crazy. So don't do it. Track it weekly. Look back every Sunday night at your plan. How did my food plan go? Did I get my protein in every day? Did I get my fiber in every day? Did I drink my water every day? Did I do all the things I was supposed to do? Did I get my exercise? And review what went right, what went wrong. Oh, you know what? I was exercising right after I got up in the morning, but I'm low on sugar and I don't feel that great. So I started exercising directly after breakfast, something like that. But come back to your system and always keep looking at it to make sure it's the best system for you. And the idea too is that you're always going to keep healthy foods around, things that you can cook and make so that you're always prepared. So you never get into that point that you get derailed because, oh, we don't have the right food. But the idea is that every system you create is a loop. It's a loop, and you keep adjusting it. You keep continuing it. Even if you're tired, even if you're stressed, you're going to just keep going through the same process over and over again. And these systems are better. Like I said, instead of you saying, well, I want to get abs, or I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to be able to run a marathon, instead you create a system. And it's more about you becoming. I am someone who moves every day. I am someone who eats healthy every day. I am someone who is, and so you use these I am statements instead of, I'm going to eat healthy today. Now you're the kind of person who eats healthy during the day. You're the kind of person who gets exercise. So instead of you sitting there and negotiating with yourself every stupid day, should I go for a walk today? Should I exercise today? I wonder if I should get my protein today, or maybe I should just go out to eat. Instead of negotiating with yourself every day, which is exhausting, you are going to come up with a system, a plan in place that is going to keep working for you, one small step at a time, and eventually you're going to prove to your brain you're consistent. That's why the weight is going to come off. That is why you're going to stay healthy. It's not because you had the goal of doing it. So again, like I said, the idea is you want to systemize your life. You pick one small area that feels a little bit chaotic. And so maybe instead of, I have friends who do late night snacking and eating late at night. And, it's probably not the best thing for them. What can they do so they don't end up hungry right at TV time? Because then you're mindlessly eating whatever it is you're eating. Maybe they need to have a little bit bigger dinner, or maybe they need to have sort of a healthier snack before they get sitting there in front of the television. Or the other thing is that if you feel like you're chaotic about skipping workouts, right now is the time to create a system that's going to help you. When X happens, I will do Y. Or this is the exact time. This is going, to be kind of your main system. When I finish dinner, I'm going to make tea instead of having a dessert. When I wake up, I'm going to put on my walking shoes before I think of doing anything else. If I feel too stressed, I'm going to take a 1 minute just break. I'm going to just walk around my backyard. That's what I do. If I get too stressed at work, I just walk around in my backyard for a little bit, or just walk up and down your street just to get a bit of fresh air. Someday I'll talk about it in this podcast, but someone called them health snacks, where they're not snacks at all, but they're just little tiny things you do to sort of break up your system. The whole point of all of these systems is really just to create one that works for you, track it visually, whether you're going to use Apple Fitness, you're going to use a big calendar on your refrigerator, or a sticker chart. At work, we all created sticker charts for ourselves. The brain really craves closure. It loves having the checkbox or the smiley face on the calendar. You're going to design also for failure. That means that if there's a day you don't exercise, that you have a plan in place. Can I do a quick 15-minute stretch at night before I go to bed? Because you don't want to get too exercisey before bed, but could you do something? And then a lot of people, when they are living kind of a healthy life, they say, I will never skip 2 days in a row. One day, if I'm not feeling right, but I'm not going to skip 2 days. And then, like I said, you're going to add an identity. I'm the kind of person who eats healthy. I'm the kind of person who gets in my protein every day. I'm the kind of person who moves some form of exercise every day. And you build this little architecture, around you so that you can get your goals and do the things that you're really trying to do. This is meant to help you, like I said, not fall either because of success. Yay, I lost a bunch of weight and I went to my vacation in the Mediterranean and I wore my bikini. Done and over with. And then now you're going to put back the weight, or you're going to put back whatever system. Right now, if you ask me what is Jill doing right now, because I sort of see myself from being maybe 6 months from being done with this drug, maybe sooner than that, I am working on what my systems are going to be. That's almost entirely what I'm doing for myself right now. I am coming up with a process so that this is going to work, and it's going to work for me. Because like I said, my life is going to be different than your life. I hope that you kind of see that. There's a thing called time blocking, which is another probably episode in that. But the idea is that you do time blocking so that you can set aside time to do these things that you want to do for yourself. Time where maybe you journal, time where you maybe look for new recipes, time for when you set aside and you set time to pray, have quiet time, and time where you're going to exercise and do these healthy systems. But the idea is, in James Clear, when he talks about this, getting back to him, is you got to make it small achievable actions. So try just swapping out one processed meal for one home cooked meal, or one eating out for one home cooked meal. Make it consistent. Consistency is more important than intensity. So we talked about it last time. Which exercise is the best for you? The one you're going to do. What diet plan is the one that's best for you? The one that you'll be consistent on. And that's what I'm doing too with my exercise. I'm trying to do it every day. And even if it's subpar and even if it's not quite the amount of time I want to have, I'm getting the repetition done. And once the repetition is in your system, now you can work on intensity. You want to make it attractive, which means you're going to try to pair your habits with maybe a reward, listening to your favorite book on book on your iPhone. Maybe you're going to exercise while your favorite movie is on your TV in your exercise area. Whatever it is. Or maybe you come up with a system. I came up with every time I exercised, I put a quarter in sort of a travel fund. And so after a while, it would build up on money, and this would be money that I could spend on going on a travel vacation without feeling any guilt. And the other thing is you want to make it easy. You want to just make it as simple, remove as much friction as possible. Like I said, you're going to have the food ingredients there. Your gym clothes are going to be set out. Let's see how we're doing on time here. Yeah. So that's the idea. So instead of chasing temporary diet goals, focus on a system. Design something that will cause a repeatable routine that aligns with your daily lifestyle, that aligns with your desired future goals. Your goals are there, but you're going to build a system that transforms your health into a reinforcing process. That way you're never quit and say, ta-da, like what happens in 6 months from now? I say, yay, I did it. I'm finally down at 130 pounds. It's all over with now. No, I'm going to create this system that I'm going to start now, and it's going to carry into that time when maybe I'm feeling a little bit more snacky, feeling a little bit more food cravings, but that system is going to help me carry through. And the training wheels of GLP-1 are going to help me to get there. But like I said, Atomic Habits by James Clear, he has a lot of free articles on his website if you go to jamesclear.com. But the book, Atomic Habits, is just one of the most fantastic books out there. So I wanted to tell you kind of a different way of thinking about this is try to see, instead of coming up with a diet, we talked about fad diets before, right? You do the Whole30 and you're sick of it. You do the keto, and you can't keep that up forever. Instead, you want to create and design a system that every day is going to point you towards success, whatever it is that you're looking to do for your goals. And like I said, if you're looking, start small, but start with the thing that makes the biggest difference to you. Right now for me, my food eating is pretty good. I'm pretty tight with what I eat, and I feel pretty good about it. But it took a long time for me to replace one meal at a time, one snack at a time with something that was worthwhile. Now my challenge is consistency with cardio and building up on that intensity now that I've worked on the basics of a pattern. But does anyone else have any sort of thoughts, or have you ever tried systems over goals, or is this a new concept for you? We'll check with the audience and see how they're doing. All right, let's see how we're doing. And I didn't mention before, there is a book where Scott Adams does talk about, and let me find that book because it's also a very good book. I didn't realize that he was like a serious guy. Let me find the book. Because like I said, he's the guy who sort of modernized the whole system. But his book, let's see, that he did that in that... I'm going to find the book. Oh, How to Fail at Everything and Still Win Big. That's one of the best, like I said, books about systems and goals out there. That was the first one I read, and then I read James Clear, Atomic Habits. Both fantastic. I think that the Scott Adams book really changed my life, and then the James Clear book taught me how to do it. And so from here, from our audience, let's make sure that you do something every day, no matter the time. And, like you got into the habit of brushing and flossing, right? It's funny. People will say that all the time. Like, I'm terrible. I have bad habits. I can't get myself into good habits. Yet we have. We really have. We brush our teeth. We floss. We get in our pajamas at a certain amount of time. Maybe we have bad habits, or maybe, innocuous habits that every day at 9 o'clock I'll play video games. We are good at habits. We just have to build the systems that will reinforce all the habits we have. All right, everyone, I appreciate you watching. Thanks so much for being there. If you have systems that you have worked on in the past, like I said, most of my systems that I've worked on have been towards productivity, to ensure that I'm a good employee, to ensure that I get my things like my bills paid on time and my work done on time and the things around the house, my chores done on time. For me, applying all of this towards health has been something relatively new for me. And so that I'm interested to see what you're doing too. And, if you try something out, let me know how it goes. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day.